I watched my sister's hand reach for her purse at my kitchen table, and my stomach dropped because I knew exactly what was coming next. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen a few times, then looked up at me with those same desperate eyes I'd seen 100 times before. Listen, I hate to ask, but the car registration is due, and Tyler's hours got cut again. Could you spot me $300 just until his next paycheck? My husband Mark was standing by the coffee maker, and I saw his jaw tighten. He knew this dance as well as I did. My whole family had been treating me like a personal ATM since I got my first real job at 23. Now I was 48, and apparently nothing had changed. Jennifer, I really can't right now, I said, keeping my voice steady. Her face twisted into something between disbelief and anger. Come on, don't give me that. You've got that engineering job you've been saving since forever. I know you've got money. There it was, the assumption that had followed me my entire adult life. Because I didn't blow my paycheck every weekend, because I drove a 10-year-old Toyota, because I clipped coupons and brought lunch to work, everyone assumed I was sitting on some massive pile of cash just waiting to solve their problems. Actually, things are tight, I said. Bull. Jennifer crossed her arms. Mom said you just got a bonus. Of course, Mom had told her. My mother couldn't keep anything to herself, especially when it came to my finances. It was like my bank account was community property in this family. That bonus went to bills, I lied smoothly. What bills? You don't have kids. Your house is paid off. Where does all your money go? Mark cleared his throat, a warning sound that Jennifer ignored completely. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app, the one I'd set up 15 years ago specifically for moments like this. The checking account showed $47.32. The savings showed the minimum balance of $20. I turned the screen toward her. Jennifer's mouth fell open. Wait, are you serious? That's all you have? That's all I have, I confirmed. But where did it all go? You make good money. You've always made good money. I shrugged, trying to look embarrassed. Lottery tickets, online shopping, wine, you know how it is. The shock on her face was almost worth the years of this charade. Almost. She left 10 minutes later, still sputtering about how I'd wasted my life savings, how could I be so irresponsible, what was I going to do when I retired? Mark closed the door behind her and burst out laughing. How long are you going to keep this up? He asked. As long as it takes, I said. But I didn't know then that the secret was about to blow up in my face in the worst possible way. It started with my mother's birthday party 3 weeks later. The whole family gathered at my parents' house, the same house where I'd grown up, where Sunday dinners had turned into loan negotiations and holiday visits became funding requests. My brother David was there with his wife Claire, Jennifer with Tyler, and my younger sister Amanda with her boyfriend of the month. I'd brought an expensive cake from the fancy bakery downtown, the kind with real buttercream and fresh berries. It cost $85, but Mom loved their cakes, and I figured it was worth it. Must have saved up for months for this, David said when I set it on the table. I ignored the jab. David had borrowed $4,000 from me 12 years ago to start a business that failed within 6 months. He'd paid back maybe $800 of it before the excuses started. It's Mom's 70th, I said simply. Still, Jennifer chimed in, you should be careful with money after what you told me about your accounts. Amanda's head snapped up. What about her accounts? She's broke, Jennifer said, way too loudly. Like, actually broke. She showed me her bank balance. It's basically nothing. The room went silent. Mom's face crumpled, and Dad's expression shifted from surprise to disappointment. That look, the one that said I'd failed to live up to some standard I never agreed to meet, that look I'd been avoiding my whole life. Is this true? Mom asked. My finances are my business, I said. Oh my God, it is true, Amanda said. What happened? Did Mark lose his job? I have a job, Mark said flatly. A good one. Then where did all her money go? David demanded. She's been working for 25 years. She should have something saved. Maybe she spent it all bailing out family members who never paid her back, Mark said, his voice sharp enough to cut. Jennifer's face flushed red. That was years ago, and I did pay her back. You paid back $200 out of $1,500, I said quietly. It was a loan, not a gift. There's a difference. Is there? I asked, because from where I'm standing, they looked pretty similar. Dad stood up, his hands raised in a peacemaking gesture. Let's not do this now. It's your mother's birthday. But the damage was done. The rest of the evening was tense, everyone shooting me looks that ranged from pity to accusation, as if my supposed financial ruin was somehow an insult to them personally. When we got home, Mark poured us both a whiskey. You could just tell them the truth. And have them lining up at our door? No thanks. They already think you're irresponsible. At least if they knew the truth, they'd know you're smart. I don't need them to think I'm smart. I need them to leave me alone. He shook his head but didn't argue. He understood, even if he didn't fully agree. Mark came from a family where people respected boundaries, where asking to borrow money was a last resort, not a first option. He couldn't quite grasp what it was like to have your success treated as community property. The next few months were quieter. The requests for money stopped, replaced by concerned questions about whether we were eating enough, whether we needed help. Mom started bringing over casseroles, as if I was some charity case. Jennifer sent me links to budgeting apps. Amanda offered to teach me about couponing, which was hilarious since I'd been an extreme couponer for years. It should have been exactly what I wanted. Peace, distance, freedom from being the family bank. But there was an edge to it now, a smugness in their concern that grated on me, like they were relieved I'd been knocked down a peg, that I wasn't the successful one anymore, the one who'd escaped to a better life while they struggled. Then came Thanksgiving. We hosted it at our house, which was our tradition every few years. I spent 2 days cooking, making everything from scratch. Turkey, stuffing, 3 kinds of pie, homemade rolls, roasted vegetables, cranberry sauce with real cranberries. The house smelled amazing, like butter and herbs and cinnamon. The family arrived at 2. David came empty-handed, Jennifer brought a bag of store-brand chips, Amanda showed up with her new boyfriend and no contribution at all. Mom and Dad brought wine, the cheap kind from the grocery store that came in a box. This must have cost you a fortune, Mom said, surveying the spread on the dining room table. It's Thanksgiving, I said, but can you afford all this? Maybe next year we should do something simpler, potluck style. I managed, I said tightly. We sat down to eat, and for a while it was almost nice. The food was good, the conversation flowed, and everyone seemed to be enjoying themselves. Then David's wife Claire made a comment about the china we were using. These plates are gorgeous. Are they new? We've had them for years, I said. They look expensive, she pressed. They were a wedding gift. Still, you should probably sell them if money's tight. I bet you could get a good price on eBay. Mark's fork hit his plate with a sharp clink. The plates are fine. I'm just saying if she's broke. I'm sitting right here, I interrupted, and I'm not selling my wedding china. No need to get defensive, Claire said. I'm trying to help. Are you, though? The table went quiet again. That seemed to be happening a lot lately. Dad changed the subject to football, and we made it through the rest of dinner without incident. But when it came time for dessert, Jennifer dropped the real bomb. So, we have some news, she said, glancing at Tyler. We're buying a house. Congratulations went around the table. Mom actually teared up. She was so happy. That's wonderful, I said, and meant it. Yeah, we finally saved up enough for the down payment. It took forever, but we did it. Jennifer paused, then added, Tyler's mom helped us out a bit too. It's nice to have family support when you're trying to build a life. The implication hung in the air like smoke. I should have helped them. Would have if I'd had the money, but I didn't, did I? Because I'd wasted it all on lottery tickets and wine. Mark's hand found mine under the table and squeezed hard. We're very happy for you, he said, his voice carefully neutral. We were thinking, Jennifer continued, maybe you guys could help us move. Since you can't contribute financially, your time would be really valuable. Something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with the quiet certainty of a door clicking shut. Sure, I heard myself say. We'd love to help. After they left, Mark found me in the kitchen, scraping leftovers into containers with more force than necessary. You're not actually going to help them move, are you? Why not? Apparently my time is all I have to offer. Baby, you don't owe them anything. I know. I sealed a container with a sharp snap. I really, really know. December brought Christmas shopping, and with it, more pointed comments from my family about my supposed poverty. Mom suggested we skip gifts this year, just do a nice family dinner instead. When I showed up with presents for everyone, carefully chosen and thoughtfully wrapped, Jennifer actually looked annoyed. "Where did you get money for all this?" she asked. "Christmas bonus," I said. Another lie, as smooth as glass. "You should be saving that, not spending it on presents. It's Christmas. It's irresponsible." I smiled, the kind of smile that didn't reach my eyes, and handed her the gift I'd bought, a luxury candle set that cost more than her entire contribution to Thanksgiving. The real breaking point came in January. Dad called me on a Tuesday evening, his voice serious. "Can you come over? Your mother and I need to talk to you about something important." My heart sank. With my parents, something important usually meant money, health, or drama. I was hoping for drama. Mark came with me for moral support. We sat in their living room, the same floral couch I'd sat on as a teenager, getting lectured about grades or curfew or responsibility. "We're worried about you," Mom started. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're broke at 48 years old. What are you going to do when you retire? Do you even have a retirement account?" "Yes, I have a retirement account." "How much is in it?" Dad asked. "That's personal. We're your parents. We have a right to know if you're going to be a burden on us in our old age." Mark made a noise that might have been a laugh or a cough. I pressed my hand against his leg, a silent plea to let me handle this. "I'm not going to be a burden," I said. "You say that now, but what happens in 20 years? You've got nothing saved. You've wasted your prime earning years. Someone's going to have to take care of you, and it's going to fall on your siblings." "My siblings?" I repeated slowly. "Who have borrowed thousands from me over the years and never paid it back?" Mom waved her hand dismissively. That was different. They were in crisis situations. Every situation was a crisis. Every time. Had the money to help. That's what family does. And now I don't have the money, so I guess we're even. Dad leaned forward, his face stern. "Your mother and I have been talking, and we think you need to make some changes. Get a second job. Stop spending on frivolous things. Maybe downsize your house." "Downsize my house?" I stood up, my hands shaking. "The house that's paid off? The house that's worth 3 times what we paid for it?" "If you sold it, you'd have money for retirement." "And where exactly would I live?" "You could rent something smaller, or move in with us temporarily while you get back on your feet." The absurdity of it hit me like a wave. They wanted me to sell my house, give up my security, my home, because they believed a lie I'd told to protect myself from them. "I'm not selling my house," I said. "Then you're not serious about fixing your situation," Mom said, "and don't expect us to bail you out when everything falls apart." The irony was so thick I could have choked on it. Mark stood up beside me. "We're leaving now." "Don't walk away from this conversation," Dad said. "Watch me," I replied. We made it to the car before I started shaking. Mark drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "You have to tell them," he said. "This has gone too far." "If I tell them, it'll be worse." "Worse than them thinking you're a financial disaster?" "Yes, because then they'll know I lied, and they'll want explanations. And they'll want money again, because now they'll know I have it. So you're just going to let them think you're irresponsible?" "For now." But I knew he was right. This couldn't continue. The lie had taken on a life of its own, growing and mutating until it barely resembled the simple deception I'd started with. I'd wanted freedom from their demands, and instead I'd trapped myself in a different kind of prison. The solution came from an unexpected source, Amanda. She called me on a Saturday morning in February, her voice pitched high with excitement. "You'll never believe what happened. Jake proposed." Jake was boyfriend number 37, or maybe 38. I'd lost count. But Amanda sounded genuinely happy, so I made the appropriate congratulatory noises. We're thinking a June wedding. Nothing too fancy, maybe 100 guests. I know you probably can't contribute much financially given your situation, but maybe you could help with planning? Jennifer said you're good at organizing things. And there it was again. The assumption that I had nothing to offer but my time and effort, while everyone else got to keep their money and their pride. Actually, I said, the words forming before I'd fully thought them through, I think I could contribute something. Oh, you don't have to. I know things are tight. I insist. Let me check some things and get back to you. After I hung up, Mark looked at me suspiciously. What are you planning? I'm going to tell her the truth. Just Amanda? Just Amanda, and I'm going to see what she does with it. It was a test, I suppose. Amanda was the youngest, the one who'd borrowed the least from me over the years. If anyone in my family might understand why I'd lied, it would be her. I met her for coffee the following week. She showed me her ring, chatted about wedding colors and venue options, and talked about how nervous and excited she was. Then, when the conversation lulled, I took a breath and jumped. Amanda, I need to tell you something about my financial situation. Her face fell. Oh God, are things worse than we thought? Do you need help? No, things are fine. Better than fine, actually. I pulled out my phone and opened my real banking app, the one with my actual accounts, the savings account with 6 figures, the investment accounts, the retirement funds. Her eyes went wide. What the hell? I've been lying for 15 years about being broke. But why? So I told her about the loans that never got repaid, about being treated like an ATM, about the assumption that my money was everyone's money, about opening the fake account just to get some peace. She listened without interrupting, her coffee getting cold in front of her. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "That's actually brilliant. You're not mad?" Mad? Are you kidding? I've watched them hit you up for money my whole life. I always wondered why you kept giving in. She paused. But this is going to blow up. You know that, right? I know. So why tell me? Because I want to contribute to your wedding. Actually contribute. But I need to know you're not going to tell the others. About the money? About any of it. Amanda stirred her coffee thoughtfully. What if I said I was going to tell them? Then I'd wish you well and walk away. And you'd get no financial help with the wedding. She smiled, a real smile that reminded me of when she was little. I'm not going to tell them. They've been awful to you lately. All that concern that's really just judgment. Let them think what they want. You don't think I owe them the truth? I think you don't owe them anything. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. How much can you contribute to the wedding? How much do you need? Her eyes filled with tears. You don't have to do this. I want to. You're the only one who never made me feel guilty for having money. The only one who never expected it. Because it's yours. You earned it. We planned the wedding over the next few months, and it was actually fun. Amanda wanted something elegant but not ostentatious, romantic but not cheesy. I covered the venue, the catering, and the flowers. We told everyone else that Amanda and Jake were paying for it themselves, had been saving for years. Jennifer was skeptical. How are they affording all this? Savings, I said simply. Must be nice to have family that doesn't waste their money. The jab landed, but I let it roll off. I was getting good at that. The wedding was beautiful. Amanda looked radiant in a dress I'd secretly paid for, but she believed was on sale. The venue was a restored barn with string lights and wildflowers everywhere. The food was incredible. The music was perfect. And for a few hours, everything felt right. Then I made a mistake. I'd had a couple glasses of champagne, enough to loosen my tongue, but not enough to blame it entirely. Jennifer was complaining about wedding costs, about how irresponsible it was to spend so much on one day, how Amanda and Jake would regret it when they needed that money later. Some things are worth spending money on, I said. Easy for you to say when it's not your money. Actually, I started, and Mark's hand clamped down on my arm, but it was too late. Jennifer's eyes had sharpened, locked onto something in my expression. What? She demanded. Nothing. No, you were going to say something. What? The conversation around us had stopped. David and Claire were watching. Mom and Dad had turned from their conversation with the bride's parents. I helped pay for the wedding, I said quietly. The silence was deafening. You helped pay? Jennifer's voice rose. With what money? You're broke. You showed me your bank account. I showed you a bank account. Understanding dawned on her face, followed by fury. You lied. I protected myself. By making us think you were poor? By letting us worry about you? By stopping you from treating me like a personal loan service? Yes. Mom stepped forward, her face pale. Are you saying you've had money this whole time? Yes. While we brought you casseroles? While your father and I worried ourselves sick? While you told me to sell my house and get a second job? Yes. David pushed through the small crowd that had formed. So all those times you said you couldn't help me, you were lying? All those times you borrowed money and never paid me back, were you lying about paying me back? His face flushed. That's different. How? Because we're family. Exactly, we're family. And families shouldn't treat each other like ATMs. Families shouldn't guilt each other into loans they can't afford. Families shouldn't assume that one person's success is everyone's property. Jennifer's hands were shaking. I asked you for $300. $300. And you let me think you were broke rather than help your own sister. You've borrowed over $8,000 from me over the years. You've paid back maybe $2,000. When exactly was I going to see the rest? I've been struggling. So have I. Struggling to have boundaries. Struggling to be seen as something other than a wallet. Mom's voice cut through the rising argument. How could you do this to us? How could you lie to your own family? How could you make me feel guilty for working hard and saving money? How could you teach my siblings that it's okay to borrow and never repay? How could you tell me to sell my house because you believed your own assumptions about my life? The wedding had come to a complete halt. Guests were staring. Amanda was crying, though I couldn't tell if it was from anger or stress or something else. Jake had his arm around her, looking bewildered. Mark stepped up beside me. We're leaving. Don't you dare walk away from this, Dad said. Actually, I dare. I've been walking away from this for 15 years. You just didn't notice because you were too busy judging me for problems I didn't actually have. You made us look like fools, Jennifer hissed. You made yourselves look like fools by assuming you had any right to know about my finances in the first place. I turned to Amanda, who was wiping her eyes. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your wedding. You didn't, she said quietly. They did. Mark and I walked out into the spring evening. The air was cool and sweet, and I could breathe properly for the first time in hours. That went well, Mark said dryly. I laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. I've been lying for 15 years, and I exposed myself at a wedding. I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're free. He was right. Whatever happened next, whatever fallout came from this, I was finally free of the lie. Free of the pretense, free of protecting people who had never protected me. My phone started buzzing before we even got to the car. Jennifer, then David, then Mom. I silenced it and tossed it in my purse. Are you going to talk to them? Mark asked as we drove home. Eventually, but not tonight. What are you going to say? The truth, that I'm not sorry for protecting myself, that I'm not sorry for having boundaries, that if they want a relationship with me going forward, it's going to be on different terms. And if they don't accept those terms? I looked out the window at the darkening sky, at the lights of houses flickering on, at the world spinning forward regardless of family drama. Then I guess I'll finally know where I stand. The messages continued over the next few days. Some angry, some hurt, some demanding explanations I didn't owe. Jennifer called me selfish. David called me a liar and a manipulator. Mom called me ungrateful for all the years they'd supported me, which was rich considering I'd been financially independent since I was 22. But there were other messages too. Amanda texted to say she loved me and understood. An aunt I barely knew said she'd been dealing with similar family drama and applauded me for standing up for myself. Even a few cousins reached out to say they got it, that they'd felt the same pressure. I answered some and ignored others. Mark and I went out to dinner, took a weekend trip, lived our lives. The sky didn't fall. The earth kept turning. 2 weeks after the wedding, I got a call from Dad. "Your mother wants to talk," he said. No preamble, no small talk. "Okay." "She wants you to apologize." "For what specifically?" "For lying. For making us worry. For embarrassing us at Amanda's wedding." "I'll apologize for the wedding. That was poor timing. But I won't apologize for protecting my boundaries or my finances." "Then I don't know what to tell you." "Tell her I love her. Tell her I'm willing to have a relationship, but it's going to be based on honesty and respect. Tell her my bank account is off limits for discussion unless I bring it up. Tell her I'm done being the family bank." Silence on the other end. Then, "She's not going to like that." "I know." "David wants you to pay him back for all the times he helped you growing up." I actually laughed. "Dad, I moved out at 22 and never asked for a dime after that. What exactly did David do to help me?" More silence. "I'll talk to your mother." He hung up. Mark found me on the porch, watching the sunset. "How'd it go?" "About as well as expected." "Any regrets?" I thought about it. About the years of lying, the elaborate deception, the fake bank account. About the confrontation at the wedding, the hurt feelings, the fractured family dynamics. "No," I said finally. "No regrets." Because here's what I learned. Protecting yourself isn't selfish. Having boundaries isn't cruel. And sometimes the people who should support you unconditionally are the ones who need the most conditions. I'm still working on rebuilding relationships with some family members. Amanda and I are closer than ever. Mom and I have an uneasy truce where we talk about gardening and recipes, but nothing deeper. Jennifer hasn't spoken to me since the wedding. David sent a long email about how I destroyed the family, which I deleted without finishing. My bank accounts remain my business. My retirement is funded. My house is paid off. I sleep well at night. Last month, Amanda had her first anniversary. We went out to dinner, just the three of us and Mark. She thanked me again for the wedding, for keeping her secret, for understanding. "I've been thinking," she said over dessert, "about getting a separate bank account. You know, like you did, just in case." "Just in case of what?" She smiled. "Just in case someone mistakes my success for their entitlement." I raised my glass. Smart woman. We toasted to boundaries, to privacy, to the radical act of protecting yourself from people who love you but don't respect you, to knowing your worth isn't measured by what you give away, but by what you choose to keep. And if that makes me an asshole, I can live with that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Would you have done the same thing to protect your finances from family? Or should she have been upfront from the start?